Welcome everyone to this historic announcement for the nanotechnology industry and the state of New Mexico. My name is Marvin Maslow. I'm the founder of Manhattan Scientifics, which was named after the Manhattan Project, a company we started 11 years ago. We're going to start in a few moments, but before we start, I want to acknowledge some of the VIPs who've joined us here today. Senator Tom Udall, thank you very much for joining us, Tom, for this important day in New Mexico history. Tom was actually with us 2 years ago when we announced the acquisition of Metallicum, a small company that Terry Lowe founded, and we brought into and has become very much a part of Manhattan Scientifics now. Some of the other VIPs here, Walt Schulman, secretary and co-founder of Basic Dental, a company that's going to manufacture the product. Gary Fichtner, co-founder of Basic Dental, president of Aesthetic Dental Arts, where we are having this conference in this building. Dr. Stephen Holbrook, the oral surgeon who actually survived yesterday's surgery, working with Terry. Lindsay Garrick from the National Nuclear Security Administration's Global Initiative for Proliferation Prevention Program. Lindsay flew here from Washington. Where are you, Lindsay? Okay. To be with us today. And Corey Sylvester. Where are you, Corey? Okay, good. Corey's with the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He's the program manager for non-proliferation programs. And thank you very much for coming today. Rob Dye, who's the Lano Senior Technology Transfer Executive. And that's a very, very important program underway, tech transfer up at the Los Alamos Lab. Well, thank you all for coming here. Today, we are celebrating a journey that began in 1991 when Gorbachev resigned as chairman of the Soviet Union. And when he resigned 19 years ago, that was the Soviet Union slipped into history. There was no more Soviet Union. And the United States, through the Department of Energy and the Los Alamos Laboratory, decided to employ thousands of weapons of mass destruction scientists. And Lindsay just reminded me that it was 16,000 scientists that were employed. The program was very successful. One of the technologies that came out of the program is this very technology producing nano-titanium. So that is the source, and that's the origin. This technology not only has medical applications, it has future applications in ultra-strong, super light metals, and may be very helpful in future transportation. This is just the tip of the iceberg. These nanometals will be applied to various industries. And in terms of the medical industry, the dental implant seems like a very small thing, but every journey begins with the first steps. And this is the first step towards many medical prosthetics that we hope to build. Just a little bit more about the Los Alamos Lab. You know, they always get a bad rap. Everybody thinks of them as the weapon shops of Usher. And, but the other part of it all is almost everything we have in today's modern world, we can look back to the Los Alamos Lab as being the source. So, for example, Seymour Cray built the first supercomputer at the Los Alamos Lab in order for the scientists back then in the 1940s to try to project the effect of radioactive fallout and weather patterns and so forth. So we started the supercomputing at Los Alamos Lab. They initiated the Human Genome Project, and just about every genetic engineering company that exists on the planet Earth today sourced at the Los Alamos Lab, out of that project. Alternative energy, hydrogen fuel cells, harvesting heats from the Earth's core with geothermal technologies, potable water. Los Alamos is at work, Los Alamos scientists are at work trying to utilize the seawater and turn it into potable water. Water is the most serious problem facing the populations of the Earth today. preserving our climate. We're going through terrible changes in climate on the Earth, and carbon sequestration. Did I say that right, Terry? Okay. And the biggest problem of all, elimination of disease. The scientists at the Los Alamos lab are hard at work at eliminating diseases, even diseases as complex as cancer, which Dr. Edward Flynn is hard at work at. Another person working closely with Manhattan Scientific. Okay, I'm now introducing Terry Lowe.
I actually want to thank Senator Udall for being here, and all of our guests from Washington, from Los Alamos, from Basic Dental, from the media. I am, again, Terry Lowe, Chief Scientist for Manhattan Scientifics. I've had the opportunity to work with Marvin and some other wonderful people for a couple of years. I wanted to acknowledge another person in the audience, George Freiberg, who worked originally. He's from Technology Venture Corporations, and he helped get Metallicum launched. And it was in 2008 that Manhattan Scientifics acquired Metallicum. So this day is a day of announcements, and there's several announcements we'll make, but they center around the introduction of nanostructured titanium and its approved use in a titanium dental implant. You can see on the left side of this some rods, and those actually come from our partner facility, Nanomet, in the city of Ufa in Russia. And on the right, you can see the basic dental system. So that is exactly what's in my mouth right now, at least this part here. And I'll say something about that in just a moment. Next slide, please. The journey to getting to this day had a lot of very important contributions. These are the logos of some, not all, of the institutions that have made a difference here. And so obviously you can see Manhattan Scientifics in the center of that. But this really begins at the upper left corner with the Department of Energy and the National Nuclear Security Administration in having the vision to try to make this world a safer place by stabilizing the former Soviet Union after its breakup. Then the United States Congress and Senate approved legislation which allowed actually originally the U.S. State Department and the Department of Energy to invest in scientists overseas to do the whole business of turning weapons technology and weapons scientists towards non-weapons activities, keeping them, giving them the ability to remain in their home country and do productive work. And today's result is literally a direct consequence of that. On the now beneath this, you see USTA, which is a little bit hard to read, but that's one of the lead institutions, Ufa State Aviation Technical University, that help with the technology. You see the United States Industry Coalition down there, which is a partner to the Department of Energy and NNSA to make sure that the government can work appropriately with the private sector. You also see ISTC, which is the International Science and Technology Center, which has their headquarters in Russia. It has members from the EU, European Union, as well as Japan, and actually some other members that have been added of recent, but of course in the United States. And they help manage projects in the former Soviet Union. On the right side, you can see some particularly significant partner institutions, including Basic Dental. It's represented here today by Dr. Walt Schumann, who is secretary of that company. Now, this interesting logo here is for the Institute of Physics of Advanced Materials. This is where we worked most closely between Manhattan Scientifics and Los Alamos in developing the technology. And then finally, they spun out a company called Nanomet, which is a partner, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So next slide, please. So the technology partners are actually more, now I'm only talking about technology partners. It takes a lot more than technology. Technology is 10% or less of what it takes to make a great business. But these are some of the technology partners, including both of the, let's see, I wonder if this has a pointer. It looks like it does, laser, yeah. So this is that IPAM, the Institute of Physics of Advanced Material in UFA. There's a partner organization there that's helpful. But these are the two nuclear laboratories comparable to Los Alamos and Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories that were all part of this as well. Some other institutes with some just fantastic scientists. Over 200 scientists from Russia help work towards what we have accomplished today. And then, of course, Los Alamos was absolutely key in all of this. And then you see Manhattan Scientifics, Basic Dental. And then in the past year, or about a year ago, Manhattan Scientifics sublicensed exclusively the metal fabrication technology to a multi-billion-dollar metals manufacturer, Carpenter Technology Corporations, and they're headquartered out of Pennsylvania. Now, I showed this because this is the beginning of a very special thank you, because you'll see in the left here, the same gentleman looking just as young today, that's Senator Udall, but this was 2 years ago when Manhattan Scientifics acquired Metallicum, and they said, you know, it looks like you have something good. This 20 times in attachment, that double the strength, that's something that I think the world needs to work with. So Manhattan Scientifics took over stewardship of this technology, and we put Metallicum, my original company, into Manhattan Scientifics. Tom Udall and Senator Bingaman as well joined us for that, as well as Diane Dinish here, and there's me, and there's the Manny Supinarius, who's the CEO of Manhattan Scientifics today, and he's in Montreal today. And there's Marvin, as again, the chairman. But Senator Udall made perhaps the most eloquent presentation at that and talked about economic growth. And Marvin twisted his arm and said, you know, can you help us? Can we hire you? Well, obviously we can't hire him. But he has helped us in an enormous way by creating the environment so that this could prosper in New Mexico. Many people know that doing business in New Mexico takes some special tenacity, but with Senator Udall's help, that has changed. But that's it. Yesterday, we had the first placement in the United States. So the second thing to announce today is that we are going to begin, well, actually, we already are we're producing this now, but we will begin marketing and selling this in December of 2010. And the important thing, and again, I want a special thanks to Basic Dental, but special thanks to Senator Udall for creating the environment so that we could launch this not from Europe, not from some other platform, but from New Mexico. And that means an awful lot to us. Promises made good make a lot of difference, and so thank you. So this incidentally is Basic is an abbreviation for this, or an acronym. Bioanatomical Systems Implant Company. Okay, now there's something else new, and this is really a separate announcement. We decided to do it today, and that is Manhattan Scientifics and our partner company Nanomet. Nanomet is actually where we are currently making the nano titanium, and they're a spin-out from Ufa State Aviation Technical University. We will sign an agreement today, which is a letter of intent for us to start a distributorship where Manhattan Scientifics and Nanomet won't just be making the metal, but we will actually be distributing the product in Russia.
Product manufactured in Albuquerque.
But the product itself is manufactured here in New Mexico, and then we'll take on the rest of the world. It's just very exciting. Yeah. Marvin, if I can have you come up and introduce the senator,
Okay.
and we'll get on with this.
Thank you. Senator Tom Udall, please come on up and say hello to everybody.
I just first of all want to congratulate all the people here at Manhattan Scientifics for inviting me to be a part of this ceremony. I had the pleasure, as both of them said, of being here 2 years ago with all of you when we started the announcement of the investment here in New Mexico. An investment made possible by technology created in large part by the scientists of Los Alamos National Laboratory. What a treasure is. It's great to see the technology transfer individual here and the other individuals here that are with Los Alamos. What a national treasure Los Alamos is, and we're very fortunate to have them in New Mexico. I think all of you will agree with two world-class laboratories in our own backyard. The technology at our fingertips is limitless. But our challenge has always been finding ways to transition that technology from innovation in the laboratory to innovation in the private sector. And that's what both of you and your team has been doing. The achievement we celebrate today does exactly that. As your senator, getting our economy back on track has been the top priority for me over the last several years. We're working hard at the national level to establish the right kind of conditions for businesses to grow and prosper and to hire new workers. But all of those investments mean nothing without the great work that's happening on the ground here in New Mexico. With this announcement, you're not only forging the new ground in the application of nanotitanium, you're also creating new industry right here in New Mexico and you will create New Mexico jobs to go along with it. It goes without saying that the product being created here is an innovation, but the technology that made it possible is equally special, in large part because of the unique partnership between the folks at LANL and their Russian counterparts. 3 decades ago, this kind of collaboration would have been unimaginable for 2 reasons. Number one, the nature of the partnership itself. Who would have imagined American and Russian scientists, Marvin, collaborating on a peaceful program at one of our national laboratories? And number two, the very idea of using technology originally developed for nuclear weapons for peaceful means. We've come a long way, and through the journey, New Mexico and its national labs have always been key partners in the process. These are exactly the kind of partnerships we should be doing more of in New Mexico. We've got limitless expertise with the scientists at LANL and at Sandia, and we've got limitless potential for innovation in the private sector. So once again, it's a real pleasure to be back here with you again 2 years later to see the progress you're making. Congratulations to your whole team here at Manhattan Scientifics, Inc. and all the good work you're doing. And I think what you really do is you highlight what our big challenge is at both Los Alamos and Sandia, to push the envelope on all the great ideas and the patents and the things that exist in those great national laboratories, and to bring them out into the private sector and create jobs. So I want to work very closely with the 2 directors of the labs and their key personnel in this area to make sure that we replicate what you have done here, which is very important, to take the innovation out, to put it to work, to create jobs and do something which is obviously very, very useful. So thank you for having me. It's great being here again.
Just come over here and hit the enter key.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to push the enter key here. 1, 2, 3.
Because today we announced that Manhattan Scientifics and Nanomet, a partner company in Russia, will together begin the distribution of the basic dental implant system in Russia. And we will have exclusive rights for the entire country.